Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jen Strawley, and I'm our Deputy Athletic Director, our Chief Operating Officer, and also serve as our Senior Women Administrator.
SHIRELLE Jackson. I'm the Senior Associate Athletic Director here at the University of Miami for Student Athlete Development.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tanya Gulian, and I'm the Assistant Swim Coach here at Miami.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for having me. I was a tennis player my whole life growing up. I really didn't play any other sports. I wasn't that good at anything else, and just really loved to play tennis. My grandfather was a tennis player. Both my parents played with me growing up, and just loved the game of tennis, loved watching tennis, loved playing tennis, practicing, playing matches. And it afforded me a scholarship to college, and here I am today working at University of Miami as our Assistant Director of Alumni Programs and also Director of our M Club for our varsity athletes here at University of Miami. So I'm really excited to be here today.
You know, my journey into sports, quite frankly, happened in junior high, I would say. My PE teacher came up to me and pointed out that I was faster than all the boys in the class and asked me to join the track team. And I was like, all right, let's try and do that. And once joining the track team, I had some success. And then I was fortunate enough to have a grandmother in my life who was an exceptional athlete. And I found out her story and her history when she started coming to support me in my journey.
My journey in sport began pretty young in my life. And I think I just had a lot of energy, and my mom was dad were looking for things to keep me active and keep me out of trouble. And, I was fortunate to play quite a few different sports as a kid and get exposed to a lot of different opportunities that I think helped build so much of my foundation in life. And, played a bunch of sports across the board: soccer, softball, basketball. I even tried gymnastics and field hockey along the way as well. So just appreciative to those opportunities that I had as a young person, and know that they've had a huge impact on my life as an adult.
My swimming journey started when I was super young, and I started out just doing summer league, kind of learned to swim, that sort of thing. And then what really pushed me into the sport, my older sister actually would come home with all these trophies. So I was like, Mom, I want the trophies. Like, how can I get them? She's like, you got to swim all year. And I was like, all right, sign me up. And I kind of never looked back at that point. And I'm just really thankful for all the things that, sport gave me. Was able to play some other sports as well growing up. But, just sports in general, it's just such a great opportunity, great way to make relationships and all that stuff.
You've all shared how your sports journeys began. Do you mind now sharing how sports then shaped the way your life moved forward?
Sports teach you so many life lessons, that you learn as a kid, and you learn, something as simple as teamwork and how that can carry on through your life, how you can work together to achieve common goals, to learning how to fail. I played softball in college, and if you go 1 for 3 at the plate, you've had a successful year, but you're failing more than you're succeeding. And how you respond to that failure is such a critical piece into your success. And I think as I grew as an adult and a professional, failure gets defined in different ways, but you learn to overcome adversity, and you learn to manage different situations and figure out how you reinvent yourself in so many different ways.
Although tennis is such an individual sport, when you get to high school and college, you really are part of a team, and teamwork was so important, whether it was on the doubles court or just, going to practice every day and going through the grind and learning how to build everything as a team together. It really carries over into the workplace. Whether it's traveling as a team, you're just building that camaraderie. I find it so helpful now in my everyday, work. And some of your best lessons you learn from losing, and the highs of winning are amazing. So just getting through all that and learning how to work together with a team is so important.
I was also really lucky to have an international career. When I was 12, I started swimming in Finland. So kind of just seeing, people that don't speak the same language as you, but you can hop in the pool and you can do workouts together and you can do meets together. To me, that was always so fascinating, because everyone thinks like, oh yeah, this is just kind of our sport. It's our team. We're so unique. But at the end of the day, we're all so similar. And that's something that's, so cool to see in coaching now, is all these lessons that we've learned. All of our swimmers, whether they're from Finland or Sweden or Spain, they know those same things. They have the same skills. And I think that's such a cool aspect to, just being a part of a team.
All of you have gained some really great core values and great life experiences that have shaped you into the women that you are today. Is there someone that inspired you to play the sport that you played, or maybe someone that you want to thank for inspiring you to play the sport that you love?
You know, I played softball in college, and the softball team, you know, making it to the Olympics and being able to compete when I was there. Like, I didn't have that as a kid in the same way. So, I sort of look back and I had two parents who had grown up with sports, and my dad coached me, you know, as a kid in soccer and in basketball. I remember, to Jessica's point, I remember the day I beat my dad in basketball because I lost to him a whole heck of a lot of times before that. And, you know, he caught me. I was a pitcher. He caught me on the side of the house for years. And I never would have been able to be the athlete that I was without his love and support and my mom's love and support in her way. But I look at this generation and other generations, and being able to see women in those roles, being able to see girls in those roles and see that you can be that makes a huge difference. And, again, there certainly were female athletes, but not the breadth when I was young and growing up that there is today. And so I vividly remember, I remember the billboard of Dawn Staley on I-95 in North Philadelphia, where she grew up. And I remember seeing it and being, wow, like, you know, there's a woman that's on a billboard in her basketball uniform. And you wouldn't think twice about that today, but back then you just didn't see it in the same way. And so I think that helped define my life growing up in sport too, and seeing it evolve and seeing the opportunities for women over the course of my lifetime.
I remember the first time I saw Flo Griffin Joyner run, and she was the first one that I remember seeing sprint with her hair down and the nails and the electric colors, and my mom didn't let me have extra hair or fake nails like that. That wasn't allowed in my house, but I could paint my nails. And so I remember and when we were on a relay team, I would ask we all had the same color nails and the same color spikes and the same color. And it was about because I was like, if you look good, you're going to run faster. And they were like, I don't know if it works like that, but all right, we'll buy in. But she was really influential, and she was the first female athlete poster that I had. And I think if you come to a track meet now, a collegiate track meet, a professional track meet, you'll still see her influence, particularly in certain programs. Ours is one of them. You'll see her influence with the hair and the makeup and the nails and the whole thing. It's very clear where that came from. But yeah, she is one of my all-time favorites, and she was really influential.
Thank you so much for taking the trip down memory lane and sharing with all of us how your journey in sports began. And now, as we pivot from going to competition to career, can you point out that moment where you knew you wanted to pursue a career in sports?
I had always coached since I was probably 15 years old. I did like lessons and summer league and all throughout college. But when I was in my senior year, and my head coach always said, you know, you're going to be a coach one day. I know it. And I was stubborn, and I said, no, like the lifestyle. I was like, I want more downtime than swim coaches. And he was like, all right, like, I don't think I believe you. So I actually was working with a very elite level of the club. And when it really clicked for me was when I could share all of the elite things I was able to learn, and they got it. And actually one of our swimmers now, I was coaching her at the time. So when I could tell her, all right, these are the skills Olympians are doing, and she was like, okay, I'll do it, whatever you say. And she would do it right on the spot. That's when I knew. I was like, all right, I want to be at this elite level. And not only that, you know, developing the full person, that's really where my passion is. I just get to do it through swimming. And I happen to know more than the average person about swimming. Obviously, I'm not an expert, but it just makes it really fun because there's so many other things that come into play when you're working with athletes, and to be that, you know, mentor or kind of play the big sister role if they need that. That's really important, you know, because it's not just sports in a vacuum for any sport. You know, there's other things that factor in there. So being able to just guide them along that path and really develop them into young women, not just, you know, great athletes. I want them to go off and feel like I have more skills than just my sport. So that piece is really fun. It's obviously challenging, but definitely the best part of the job.
When I graduated college, I moved back down to Miami, and I thought about, hey, what can I do? And I was lucky enough to be able to speak with someone at IMG, and they were looking for someone to help out one of their professional athletes as their executive assistant. So I worked with Venus Williams for 9 years and basically did everything you could possibly imagine under the sun, and traveled the world and got to learn from one of the best all time in sports. And her and Serena lived together, so I was with both of them all the time, and just the life lessons I learned from them and how hard they work day in and day out, whether it was on the tennis court or with all their businesses. It was just incredible. And then I took that and was able to transition to working at University of Miami and working with our former athletes, which was the perfect spot for me, since that's what I was. I've always thought I would work in sports. I didn't really know in what capacity, and this is just the road that I was able to take. And working with former athletes now is great. You get to work with people and celebrate their successes from when they were in college and won national championships, and now able to help them find jobs later in their career and later in their life. So it's very rewarding, and I think I'll always stay in sports. At least I hope so.
I really appreciate all of you sharing the story of how you got to where you are today, because I think a lot of women, especially, and people that are interested in working in sports, think there's some exact formula to get to where you are, and everyone's story and journey is completely different. And this industry continues to evolve, especially in 2020. We saw a lot of great hires, women hires in specific, with Tori Miller becoming the first female general manager in the NBA G League, and even with the Marlins hiring Kim In-ji as their general manager, the first female in MLB history, as well as numerous, milestones in the NFL with lots of women being on coaching staffs. I mean, the sky is the limit for us in this industry. Do you mind talking about how all what we saw in 2020 and how that's shaping the industry moving forward for women in sports?
We've seen quite a bit of evolution in so many different phases, and quite honestly, we still have a ways to go. Like, I think if you look in certain areas, you look across FBS and there still aren't that many female athletic directors. But we're making progress, and the examples you gave are huge for that. And I go back to what I said and what SHIRELLE said about not having all that many females sitting in positions when we were kids. And now there's more women sitting in, GM roles, sitting in athletic director roles, sitting in seeing professional athletes participate, seeing women in seeing a female vice president of the United States. I mean, the ceiling just keeps getting shattered, and women get to see women sitting in those positions, which then continues to advance.
I like to remind people, particularly when they're looking for jobs, like, well, the job that I want, I don't think is out there. The job I currently have wasn't out there when I came to the institution, right? Jennifer Strawley and Blake James created that opportunity because they found that was a need for the student athletes. And so I'm always grateful for our mutual friend and for Jen for picking up the phone, right? So she trusted another woman, and then she picked up the phone. And thank God she liked a little bit of what I had to say in the interview. So thank you, Jen. But, trusting other women to be able to navigate that network, I think, is really important. And us modeling that behavior of support and vision, I think it is really important for our women, so they can see, empowered women truly do empower women. And having seats at the table, we just don't talk about it. We do have seats at the table. And then when we get to the table, we're bringing other women and supportive men along with us. And so I it's important to me that I share that story, because not a lot of our student athletes know that. But I think that's a real time, honest example of women supporting women. And I am forever grateful.
I'm grateful that in our athletic department at UM, we have the opportunity to have a group about women in sports, and all the women in our department get together, once a month or every 6 weeks, and we can talk about what's going on in our own individual jobs and lives. And we've listened to great speakers, great women leader speakers throughout the country, not just in athletics, but, we're able to learn so much about each other. And I think that's really important, because we all kind of get stuck in the minutia of our jobs every day, and we don't take the opportunity as much to get to know each other personally like we should, and how we can help each other in our jobs and in our lives and be better. And I really appreciate that.
Thank you all for taking part in this conversation for National Girls and Women in Sport Day. It has been a pleasure talking about the importance of girls and women playing sports and the influence it has on their lives, as well as the progress of equality for women working in sports.